Hello, how are you today? Do you want to dive into a book that might just surprise you? Whether it becomes your next favorite or one you might skip? Let's find out what readers are saying about it.
Flo Camus, who has 152 likes, says 5.0. Es una novela contemporánea escrita por Alison Espach. En esta historia conocemos a Phoebe Stone, una mujer que llega sola al Cornwall con un vestido verde y unos tacones dorados. No est invitada a la boda que se celebra aunque todos asumen lo contrario. Lo que realmente busca es cerrar un ciclo, rendirse un pequeño homenaje, hacer un último gesto de belleza y dignidad en medio del caos emocional que la habita. Sin embargo, lo que encuentra en medio de un evento cuidadosamente planeado por una novia perfeccionista y rodeada de personas igual de rotas que ella es algo completamente distinto. El legame en uno de esos dos en los que lo único que una quiere es sentirse entendida y, honestamente, no sabe que me iba a golpear de la forma en que lo hizo. Ya en las primeras páginas, me sent impactada y devastada. Es una historia cruda, pero también íntima, sarcástica y honesta. Me vi completamente reflejada en Phoebe, en su manera de pensar, de arrastrar el cansancio, de analizar el mundo con ese filtro entre existencialista y literario. Como profesora de literatura, fue inevitable no sentir que cada referencia y cada guión eran un regalo directo a mi alma. Lectora, Phoebe es el tipo de protagonista que no aparece todos los dos. No busca agradar, no se excusa, no pide permiso para ser quien es. Aunque esa misma identidad est quebrada, tiene pensamientos oscuros, a veces incómodos y, sin embargo, tan reales que es imposible no empatizar. Me record muchísimo a esas voces femeninas que amo en la literatura. Introspectiva, punzante, irónica y profunda, pero también fragile y contradictoria. A ratos, sent que li fragmentos de mi propio diario. Si tuviera la capacidad de escribir as claro, su forma de pensar. Sus reflexiones sobre el dolor, el matrimonio, el arte, el tiempo, mi calor hondo. Es una mujer que ha sido profesora, que ha amado la literatura, que ha vivido al bord del debord, que ha querido desaparecer y que, aun as, sigue a, literalmente yo. Cada cosa que he dicho sobre Phoebe me describe también ya que también soy profesora de literatura y también he tocado fondo, resiliente a su modo, con un vestido verde y unos tacones dorados como el último acto de belleza antes del abismo. Hay una frase en particular que me desarma. No le tiene miedo a lo que yo deca. No les tiene miedo a las peores partes de y me hizo sentir que esas partes estaban bien. Y esa línea, como tantas otras, me dejó mirando al techo, pensando en mis propias sombras y en lo que yo también busco en las personas para poder conectar con ellas. El nivel de profundidad emocional de esta novela es abrumador. Pero nunca resulta forzado. Las conversaciones que se dan con Lila, con los otros personajes que aparecen como piezas fundamentales de un rompecabezas emocional, están cargadas de una honestidad brutal. Algunas de esas charlas me hicieron oír con una carcajada ahogada y otras me hicieron llorar sin aviso. Esa combinación es rara de encontrar. Una escritora que te hace temblar de risa y al siguiente profo te deja rota. Las referencias literarias fueron un deleite. Virginia Woolf est más que presente en la historia, especialmente a través de los paralelismos con ese caminar errático pero significativo por la ciudad. Ese observarlo todo con un lente minucioso y sensible y esa relación ambigua con el tiempo estna presentes y no como una imitación, sino como un diálogo precioso entre otras. También est el paralelismo con de Charlotte Bront, sobre todo en los presagios. En los bolos del matrimonio como un punto de inflexión y en el uso del entorno como un reflejo emocional. Es un libro que se disfruta más cuanto más has leído porque es lleno de capas que se revelan a medida que los conoces, sin duda. Es increíble la cantidad de referencias sutiles. Y no tanto a obras clásicas. Cada alusión a Jane Eyre y cada eco de Mrs. Dalloway me hizo sentir que el libro me estaba hablando directamente. Como si Espach supiera que páginas han marcado en mi vida. Hay una inteligencia literaria muy afinada en esta novela. No está solo para que una lectora culta diga entend la referencia, sino que est integrada profundamente en el desarrollo de los personajes y de las ideas. Esta es una novela que se puede leer con el pis en mano, subrayando cada frase que te haga sentir algo. Pero también se puede leer con el corazón abierto y simplemente dejar que te atraviese. Lila, la novia, es otro personaje que merece mención aparte. Su meticulosidad y su desesperación por controlar lo incontrolable la hacen profundamente humana. Sin embargo, lo que más me impresión fue la relación que se forma entre ella y Phoebe. No es la típica amistad femenina rosa y perfecta. Es tensa, honesta y cargada de verdades incómodas. Se reconocen la una en la otra y esa capacidad de verse en otra mujer desconocida me parece uno de los puntos más fuertes de la novela. Todos los dos de esta semana me has dado una razón para levantarme por la mañana, para ponerme un vestido bonito y formar parte de algo. Le dice Phoebe a Lila. Yo estaba con el corazón en la garganta. Me hizo pensar mucho en lo humano que es aferrarse a algo. Incluso a lo que nos has dado. Simplemente porque nos da un propósito. Qué fuerte esa idea de que lo único que necesitas para vivir es una excusa. Aunque sea una mínima, para levantarte por la mañana. En el caso de Phoebe, esa excusa toma la forma de Lila, de la MSICA, del vino y del acto de ponerse un vestido bonito. Me conmueve profundamente que el libro no proponga una salida fácil, ni siquiera una solución definitiva. Solo propone un aplazamiento y, a veces, con eso alcanza, a veces. Solo postergar lo definitivo es un acto de amor propio. Los diálogos de este libro están llenos de esas frases que te obligan a cerrar el libro y quedarte mirando al vacío unos minutos. No es solo lo que se dice, sino como se dice. Cada conversación tiene un ritmo muy real. Con silencios. Con titubeos y con giros inesperados. Me gusta cuando los personajes no responden como en una película de domingo, sino como seres humanos heridos, inteligentes y contradictorios. Lila y Phoebe no se salvan mutuamente de forma magica, pero se acompañan, se permiten, se escuchan y se apoyan. En un mundo donde todos gritamos por atención, que alguien te escuche de verdad se vuelve algo casi revolucionario. Lo termina en un da. Literalmente. No pude soltarlo y no porque fuera liviano, sino porque estaba tan inmersa en la historia y tan emocionalmente involucrada, que cualquier otra cosa me parece irrelevante. Me quedé pensando en las grandes preguntas que plantea. ¿Qué nos da sentido? ¿Cómo lidiamos con el paso del tiempo? ¿Vale la pena el esfuerzo de seguir cuando todo parece perdido? ¿Qué significa estar viva realmente? Este libro no ofrece respuestas fáciles, pero ofrece compa y eso. En tiempos oscuros, es mucho más de lo que uno puede pedir. Tanto con este libro que no me cabe duda. Entra directo a mi lista de mejores lecturas del año. Y de la vida. Es un texto que amerita análisis, discussion y comparación. Yo lo dará en una clase de literatura contemporánea sin dudarlo y me encantará leer alguna tesis al respecto. Sobre los paralelismos con el canon. Sobre el tratamiento de la depresión sin romantizarla y sobre la mirada femenina en la narrativa actual. Es un libro que hace pensar, sentir y que dialoga con muchos otros sin perder su voz propia. Después de cerrar el libro, me quedé un buen rato pensando en mis decisiones, en mis relaciones, en lo que callo, en lo que me permito, en cuanto me parezco a Phoebe y en cuanto me gustará encontrar a alguien que me escuche. Pero también en cuanto tengo que aprender a escucharme a mí misma. Me parece increíble cómo la ficción puede hacerte ese efecto. Sacarte de tu mundo solo para devolverte a él con mis lucidez. Finalmente, puedo decir que es un testimonio de lo que puede hacer una novela cuando es descrita con profundidad, humor y compasión. Es una historia sobre perderlo todo y, aun as, encontrar algo, o a alguien, que te recuerde por qué vale la pena seguir. Este libro me recuerda que no siempre necesitamos grandes milagros, sino pequeñas razones para quedarnos. Una palabra amable, un vestido bonito, una mujer desconocida que te ve y te entiende. Brandis, who has 168 likes, says, Phoebe checks into a luxury hotel without luggage, intending to end her life, and quickly realizes upon arrival that the rest of the Cornwall Inn has been booked out for a wedding. When Lila, the bride, discovers Phoebe, the one thing she hasn't accounted for in her meticulous planning, Phoebe's plans begin to change. I wanted to love the wedding people after all its recent hype, but I just did not. While I liked Phoebe, and Gary, as well as some of the secondary characters, I did not find the story absurdly funny as the blurb notes. This story does deal with some difficult subjects, and it's best to know that heading into the book. I enjoyed some aspects, including the Newport, Rhode Island setting, but I was expecting more humor and as a character-driven literary fiction lover, to like the story more overall. The Wedding People is well liked by many other readers, so don't let my more of a miss deter you. Thank you to NetGalley and Henry Holt for providing an advance reader copy in exchange for an honest review. Margaret M. having a challenging time and on GR as much as I can, who has 157 likes, says, a great read. A very effective way of addressing some serious themes, and it turns out many of the main characters either directly or indirectly help resolve each other's problems. That can't be a bad thing. From planned suicide to marrying the right but wrong guy. A life of second chances and pursuing your dreams, even the ones you didn't know you had. How lovely, satisfying, and in some ways thoughtful. I can see why so many thoroughly enjoyed this one. Full RTC. Niloufer Ozmekik, who has 577 likes, says, words cannot do justice to how brilliant this book is. The author left me speechless. A blubbering machine like those waving cat statues you see in Eastern places. With the exception that I kept repeating, I love it, I love it, I love it. Phoebe is real. She's not an ordinary book character. You can easily see parts of her that are similar to you. Resonating, bluntly honest, depressingly expressive. A woman who finally dares to say enough is enough. Leaving her old life with only a dress and uncomfortable shoes. Without looking back, just aiming to cut away the pain like a rotted piece. She's smart, sarcastic, depressed, exhausted. Trapped in her unhappiness like a hamster stuck in a treadmill going nowhere. Counting her steps as she keeps counting the days passing without hope, plans, or desires. Have any of you turned into Phoebe, who stopped seeing her value? Drawn into self-suffocation as if you have full of options. Have so many talents you didn't explore. A brain that holds encyclopedic knowledge but still seeing yourself from a cracked mirror. Perspective, dulling your motivations? This book is for all women who are stuck in the routine of life, preferring not to talk about their honest opinions, putting others' needs first. When Phoebe Stone, in her mid-40s, is dumped by her husband of 2 decades, having gone through IVF treatments, miscarriages, losing the charm of her job as a literary, Victorian-era professor to interact with students, and her unfinished thesis about Jane Eyre. A tragedy pushes her to the limit. She leaves her house wearing only a green dress she bought for a special occasion but never had a chance to wear, and gold heels that probably create blisters on her feet. Without a bag in sight, she finds herself at Cornwall Inn, a luxurious hotel with nightly costs around $800. Located in Newport, Rhode Island. She has a secret that she blurts out in the elevator to Lila, who has paid to close the entire hotel for wedding festivities. Phoebe is going to kill herself with pills she's carried to her Ocean View expensive room, of course. Lila the bridezilla, at age 27, has her own problems besides organizing her dreamy wedding without hiring a wedding planner because she cannot trust anyone not to ruin things on her special day. She misses her father, who recently died from cancer, and his dying wish was to see his daughter as a happy bride. But now she's dealing with her eccentric, daily drinking artist mother, who keeps telling her she's making a mistake marrying the older Gary, choosing an incompatible guy just as she did with Lila's father. Gary's sister Marla, who was involved in a sex scandal, cheating on her husband, keeps nagging her with inappropriate, grumpy comments. Her teenage stepdaughter Juice, Melanie, acts like she hates her guts. Her mother-in-law thinks if they don't marry in a real church, her wedding will be ineffective. On top of that, there's a wedding crasher in the hotel called Phoebe who plans to take her own life, adding more tragedy to her perfect day. How dare she? Interestingly, Lila keeps knocking on Phoebe's hotel room door to get advice because this stranger might be the only honest person who can tell her the truth, including if there's a piece of food stuck in her teeth. Phoebe also realizes that talking with Lila and finding herself involved in the wedding drama helps her get out of her dark space. She finds herself fraternizing with the guests, turning into a priest who listens to anyone's confessions without being stuck in a booth, including the bride's mother, sister-in-law, Gary's ex-brother-in-law Jim, who might have feelings for the bride, and of course Gary, the groom, with whom she becomes friendlier than she could ever imagine. What if she can have other chances to grab in life, leaving her old self hanging on the coat racks of her closet and jumping into a new life? What if Lila is also rushing into the wedding to realize her late father's wishes without thinking it through? What if there are other paths to follow which will force them to face what they really want to do with their one precious life? This humorous satire balances drama and humor perfectly, just like life itself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the top 10 books of the year you shouldn't miss. The characters, the plot progression, the blossoming friendship of two polar opposite women. Smart, snarky, self-reliant Phoebe and controlling, perfectionist, slightly superficial white privileged Princess Lila. The promising romance parts, the irony, the heartfelt moments, self-awareness about mental health, learning to let go, and being brave enough to start over messages are perfectly developed. This is a must-read that you shouldn't dare to skip. Follow me on medium.com to read my articles about books, movies, streaming series, astrology, Medium.com, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Yun, who has 1,365 likes, says she wonders how terrifying it felt, looking at the sea, feeling like she was at the very end of it all. She wonders what it was that made her realize there was somewhere else to go. While The Wedding People wasn't a perfect read for me, it certainly was a darn special one. Phoebe has always wanted to go to the Grand Cornwall Inn in Newport, and now she is finally here. But it isn't at all the vacation she spent years dreaming of. For one, she isn't going with her husband because he is no longer her husband. For another, she didn't bring any luggage because, well, you'll have to read the book for that. And just as she has resigned herself to her decision, she unexpectedly meets the wedding people, all there to attend a week-long celebration. Soon she is swept up in their exuberance and drama. And just maybe this is the vacation she was meant to take after all. This is definitely one of those books you read for the journey, not for the outcome. It's pretty clear right from the beginning where this story is going to go. Because how else would you have a story at all? To follow Phoebe as she meets these strangers. See how they touch her life at exactly the moment she needs it, while she in turn touches theirs. Brings a lump to my throat and a flutter to my heart. There is something so inherently lovable and relatable about Phoebe, even if we have not all suffered the exact same terrible setbacks in life that she has. Her candidness and vulnerability seems like a breath of fresh air, inviting the reader into her heart and her mind. And we have no choice but to follow along. No doubt Phoebe has been through a lot, more than anyone can be expected to endure. And yet, there is a quiet bravery and courage in how she approaches her life and in how the author chose to portray her. I can see how at the hands of a lesser wordsmith, this story could have easily turned maudlin or preachy. But no such fears here. For a story about such sad topics, I felt remarkably buoyant and hopeful while reading this. There was so much heart and humor in here. I was often nodding and laughing along, surprised at all the little nuggets of wisdom and joy to be gleaned from these pages. If I were someone who marked up books, which I would never, the sacrilege, I suspect I would have used up an entire highlighter trying to capture all the worthy lines. I mentioned this wasn't a perfect read for me because while I particularly loved the beginning and the end, I did feel the middle sagged a bit. At times, it was a little overly long and meandering, with dialogue that was a bit too clever and maybe verging on glib. And yet, the story continued to draw me in, even if the pacing wasn't quite even throughout. I will say, I think this is a story best enjoyed with a reader's full and undivided attention. Often it feels like there were a multitude of things going on at the same time, the rapid fire dialogue on the surface, the emotions underneath, and the wisdom to be sussed out if looked carefully. Unfortunately, it's hard for me to find solid chunks of uninterrupted reading time nowadays. So the book did lose some of its potency for me, read in bits and pieces. A few lines at a time. Especially in the middle there. But that's really my bad and not the story's fault. I feel like the most resonant books are always the ones that address the human spirit, its unfailing desire to endure, to belong, to love and be loved, and to find meaning. And if you can sprinkle in a dash of humor along the way, all the better. Well, if that's the case, then one cannot ask for a better story than this. Connect with me Instagram.